Still think you're the hunter?
Damn. That was a good trailer. Everything about that was amazing. The cinematography, the shots that they showed, Mount Yōtei and all its scope. Sucker Punch nailed that trailer. It's a shame. It's a shame that the trailer hadn't even been out 10 minutes. And this thing was enshrouded in controversy like white on rice. It always makes you think, do these people sit around just waiting for something new to pop up so they could just go around digging, trying to find out any little detail they can to rage bait, to just take away from what's otherwise a pretty positive experience watching that trailer? I gotta say, I was really intrigued by a lot of the things I saw. I guess they're going to be running with this narrative for a while, but the real Ghost of Tsushima fans know what to expect and what type of evolution we're going to get with this game. So far from what we know, Ghost of Yotei is going to be taking place 400 years after Ghost of Tsushima, 1603 Japan. We're going to have gunpowder. We'll have some gunplay. It's going to be evolution of the sword mechanics, a deeper combat tree, maybe some new stances, some returning abilities. We saw that sword get enshrouded in fire there in the trailer for a little bit. Got this new chain weapon that we'll be using. I'm sure the experts out there on Japanese weaponry from the time will be able to tell you. There seems to be a Western tone, some revenge themes going on. I love it. Mixed in with some Japanese instruments. A real RDR2 vibe, or just Red Dead Redemption in general, with that music when it started. Loving the wolf theme. I mean, there's so much to unpack here before you even get to the actress that's playing the role. Obviously, we're talking about Erika Ishii. She is the person who is going to be voicing and mocapping for Atsu in Ghost of Yotei. And to say that she's controversial is an understatement, but there's no reason why this should be overshadowing the potential of this game. We're going to go into some of the reasons why I don't think that should be the case. But first, this is Filmic Take. If you guys enjoy the conversation, leave a like down below, subscribe, share it, tell all your friends. So without further ado, let's get into it. One of the things that I really want to point out that I feel like people are overshadowing when it comes to this game is the fact that there's continuity. A lot of the times when a game comes out or a piece of media comes out, you find out that someone new is directing it, right? There's a new director, there's some new actresses and actors, and you kind of just see it. It's right there. It's written on the forehead of the show. It's like DEI woke. It's gonna go crazy. It's gonna say all this random stuff that has nothing to do with the plot. It's gonna forget past plot points and sort of subvert the history of whatever it is, the franchise that they're taking over. And there's reason to be upset. But with this, Ghost of Yotei is still being directed by Nate Fox and Jason Connell, the original directors of Ghost of Tsushima. You saw their imprint throughout the entire trailer. If you remember back to the first trailer of Ghost of Tsushima when it was revealed and you had that battle with Jin and Masako in that field with the leaves burning all around them, arrows flying in from approaching enemies, Jin pleading with Masako that they needed to get out of there, and Masako not wanting to leave this person who she felt was part of the massacre of her family, right? That whole vibe around that duel that they had, literally seeping into this trailer for Ghost of Yotei from beginning to end. That shot of Atsu looking up through the crack of her straw hat, the anger that you see in her eyes, I mean, that was just, you can tell the storytelling is back, the vibe is back, but continuity is key. If you're worried about what Erika Ishii does in her free time and what she's tweeting about on X or formerly Twitter, what she's doing outside on her own time, her political beliefs, then you're sorely missing out on what's going to be an amazing game. None of that is going to permeate into this. She's doing this job with a template to follow. Daisuke Tsuji was amazing as Jin, and she clearly has taken a lot of inspiration from his performance. There's a subtlety to her acting that we saw on the screen. She's quiet. It's not like she came on screen and all of a sudden she's saying all this weird stuff. Things that are out of character for a samurai, or introducing modern tropes into the game with dialogue. None of that happened. We got exactly what we got from Ghost of Tsushima. Intense cinematic scenes, beautifully shot camera angles. Everything was great. I think we can take solace in the fact that they're bringing back those two directors. It's not like they chose some two new people, and then we looked at their history and we saw that they were woke DEI people. I mean, I don't think that any of that is going to permeate. I think they're going to stay true to the source material from Ghost of Tsushima. There's definitely going to be an oral tradition passed down through the ages of what Jin did way back when in 1200 Japan. It's pretty obvious that the legend of the ghost has traveled far and wide. And this is probably someone who has learned of their story from a very young age, who's always been inspired. It's probably put into some type of a traumatic situation and is pulling from the legend of the ghost to exact her revenge, to further her story. Who knows? We'll find out more as time goes on from Sucker Punch. The respect of the samurai will be there. This isn't going to be Assassin's Creed Shadows. It completely sucks that game was moved back to February 2025. Of course, everyone's talking about the Black History Month angle, how that just makes it worse. Then, obviously, the fact that 2025 is stacked with games. I mean, we're talking Ghost of Yotei now, GTA 6, Death Stranding 2, Monster Hunter Wilds, Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta Remake, Doom Dark Ages, just to name a few. But I digress. That's a topic for another day. I wanted to pull up this quote from Sucker Punch, where they sort of explain why they decided to go away from Jin and instead embrace the story of the ghost and the legend of the ghost instead as their main pushing off point for Ghost of Yotei. So they said, we also wanted to continue to innovate. To create something fresh but familiar, we looked beyond Jin Sakai's story on the island of Tsushima and shifted our focus to the idea of the ghost instead. At Sucker Punch, we love origin stories, and we wanted to explore what it could mean to have a new hero wearing a ghost mask and uncovering a new legend. This led us to the Ghost of Yotei, a new protagonist, a new story to unfold, and a new region of Japan to explore. So right there, it's very clear. They sat down, they talked about this for hours. They probably went back and forth. They were probably really intent on continuing Jin's story at one point. But with a bunch of conversation, with obviously a need to put out a fresh idea with sort of the same undertones, I kind of commend this decision to go ahead and just continue with the legend of the ghost and give us a new protagonist, right? Female or not, that doesn't really matter, right? It's about the authenticity of the performance. But from everything we've seen in this trailer, she seems like she's a very silent warrior. She may speak when needed, but she seems powerful in her silence. And I think that that's a very, very good sign going forward for Ghost of Yotei. If we're talking about the evolution of the game from Ghost of Tsushima to Ghost of Yotei, there are many things we can look to. One can be the traversal, which was pretty weak in the first game, other than riding around on your horse and Jin leaning over and touching grass as you rode through a field. The traversal in terms of climbing was pretty weak. More so attuned to Horizon Zero Dawn's climbing, and it didn't nearly have the same quality of animation that Horizon Zero Dawn had. Maybe we're going to see something of a upgrade to the traversal in terms of climbing. The swinging was a little bit tight on the animation. It was very stiff when you swung through the air. Still fun, right? But these are all things that Sucker Punch can improve upon. One of the main things that I noticed from the trailer, if you guys go and look back, is whenever you see the cape flowing in the wind, in Ghost of Tsushima, his cape would clip through your swords and your bow that you had on the back. And it wasn't anything that would bother you, but you definitely would notice it. It seems very clear that they've finally polished that up in Ghost of Yotei, because every time she's walking around in the wind, you see that the cape aptly wraps around whatever is on the back and flows accordingly with the wind, the way it should, which is pretty awesome to see. I think it's a small detail, but it just tells you that they're really looking to improve upon every aspect of this game for the sequel. And it's really exciting to see that. If you're talking about scope, Ghost of Tsushima had pretty good scope, but that shot with Mount Yōtei in the background and that feel that you have just shows you that this world is going to be ginormous compared to the first game. We're going to get those Legends missions back and you get this battle at the end. It was very clear in the trailer that these fights were going to come back. Obviously, we had the Ronin fights from Ghost of Tsushima, and this time it seems she is directly in conflict with the Ronin on the island. But I'm sure those battles will be back, and they'll be more grandiose and better set pieces, and it's definitely going to be a marvel to look at while you're playing. This is all the things that you can go through before you even think about who the actress is. This is why nobody should care about the actress. After the performance is done, if we feel like it stands up to what Jin did, then we can judge her on her performance. But I do not think this is a situation where the character, the person that she portrays outside of the workplace is going to matter. We're going to really look back on her performance as Atsu as just that. I don't think that Sucker Punch or Nate Fox and Jason Connell are going to let any of that stuff get in the way of what their vision is. See, when there's a vision from top to bottom at a developer, a game comes out looking a certain way with a certain vibe, and that really doesn't change from game to game unless it's intent from the developer. This isn't a situation like Star Wars where, every single time the new show comes out, it's directed by a completely different team and a completely different set of people with different beliefs, and there's sort of no real oversight as to what exactly is being produced. They can spend $180 million on the Acolyte and no one knows where the money went. If you're the mindset that you need to look for Erika's beliefs and see what she posts on Twitter and what she does outside of the job, and you're just looking to complain about something, and you're not one of the true Ghost of Tsushima fans. Because if you're a true Ghost of Tsushima fan, you'd look at that trailer and you'd be like, yes, more Ghost of Tsushima. Let's go. Take my money. When is it coming out? 2025? Awesome. I'll be here. That's really all you get to. You don't get to the third or fourth layer that people are going to just to kind of expose something about the game and bring hate to it. I'm not about that. I'm really looking forward to the blood, sweat, and tears that Sucker Punch is putting into this game to give us a worthy sequel. If you're worried about the female protagonist angle, then it seems to me you really didn't play the first game, because the first game was filled with phenomenal performances by female characters. If you look at Tomoe, Ishikawa's student who decided to go rogue and teach the Mongols all of the secrets that she was taught as a form of rebellion. If you look at Masako and the story that she was given, how her family was massacred and how she was betrayed by someone close. This is the only way that it could have happened. And the way that story ended, I won't spoil it if you haven't played Ghost of Tsushima yet, but her performance was immaculate. And all of that before you even get to Yuna. I mean, this game was filled with amazing female performances. And they were all warriors. And it wasn't cheesy. Masako was a beast. She handled herself like the best samurai that ever existed. And that's what I'm talking about. It's that tone of honor, that tone of seriousness that they bring to these characters, where you know that everyone that's introduced has a backstory. They're complex in character, and their story is worth telling. So if you're telling me we could go back and play the first game from Masako's angle and using Masako, I'd play that 20 times. Either way, female or male, the story has nothing to do with that. The story is the key to any game. That's what carries it. Gameplay won't be different. If anything, Atsu will probably be much more agile. But with a female character comes a nimbleness that can add an exciting element to gameplay, I must say. Quicker movements, maybe not as much power, but more speed, precise attacks. There's a lot to unpack before you even get to Erika Ishii. For those of you who don't know who she is, I'll give you some of the performances that she's done, and then you can maybe go back and see if you can see the trajectory in her career up until this point, where now she's working with Sucker Punch. She's worked on Apex Legends as Valkyrie. She was Anna Bray in Destiny 2. And she was Chiaki from Pacific Drive. For a lot of you Pacific Drive fans out there, those are all pretty solid performances, right? You can sort of see the trajectory that she's taken in her career to get to where she is now. And if you ask me, she chose one hell of a role and one hell of a team to work with. We're going to get one solid game from beginning to end with a solid vision. And I don't think it's going to be shaky in any sense where there's just things that don't belong. I don't think any of that's going to happen. But I'll leave it at that. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think it was a good choice to hire Erika Ishii? Do you think that the hate is worth it or warranted, considering the fact that the vision is pretty clear? It seems like they are continuing to give us more Ghost of Tsushima. Or do you guys think that the storytelling might be affected and the gameplay won't be as good, all because there's a female protagonist? Now the animations won't look as good. And give me your reasoning as to why you might think that this is a bad thing. And if you think it's a good thing, let me know down in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed the conversation, this is Filmic Take. I'm going to try to do this every now and then, take a bit of controversy from around the industry and break it down here with you guys and talk about it, while still giving our theater style gameplay edits. We're working on a Warhammer edit right now. We'll be putting the trailer out for that pretty soon, so stay tuned here at Filmic for that. And until next time, peace out.